Back at it again with that goddamn Man vs. Machine content, are we? Yep, I'm still doing Man vs. Machine content for the moment, and it's gonna stay that way, at least for a little bit. Getting back on track, today's lesson will simply be about working with your team while playing Man vs. Machine. Working effectively with your team can be a nightmare if no one's communicating, and is typically what leads most people to failing, wave after wave. So this video will primarily just be helping you learn how to communicate with your team and effectively work with them to win matches and get those Australians that everyone loves so dearly. So let's start with communication. After all, communication is a pretty important thing in a cooperative game mode, so you'll need to talk with your team. Don't be afraid to use your mic, and if you feel uncomfortable using your mic or simply don't want to talk, just use text chat. That's there for a reason. This applies to anyone playing Man vs. Machine and not just the engineers, so don't be shy. Talk a little bit. While we may have just covered one of the biggest things about cooperation, there's a much bigger matter. Chances are, when you use communication, you're talking to someone else as well. So that's always a good idea to remember to be nice to one another.
You guys are fucking autistic.
Sometimes conflict will arrive. Perhaps someone wants to play the same class as someone else. Perhaps someone does not agree with another person's loadout. When you're in these kind of situations, you need to get down to it and be polite to each other when talking. Screaming and cursing at someone does nothing good for the team. All it does is make each other feel bad. And I know I'm about to sound like a preschool teacher here, but we shouldn't make each other feel bad. After all, it's just a video game where we're trying to get some golden pixels to use in a game to show off. So just be nice to each other. The amount of times I've seen people get angry and scream at each other is too many to count. And this is a game mode that's supposed to be cooperative in its nature, so when people are yelling at each other just about their loadout, it's really sad to see and really annoying if you're just trying to play the game. So just remember, be nice to each other. And don't be a dick! GameSense is an extremely important tool that you should be using. Now the reason why GameSense is a large part of any game and not just Man vs. Machine is because GameSense is acting based on knowledge of the current game state and making decisions to affect the future of that game. For example, let's use the teleporter and where you decide to place it. While it may seem small, the position of the teleporter can greatly affect how far you and your team get pushed back. If you are to place it too close to the front lines, it is likely to be spammed out, destroying it, keeping your teammates from advancing to the front lines quicker. And if you place it too far back, the same problem occurs. Your teammates won't be able to advance fast enough, giving the robots the upper hand and pushing your team farther back. With this example, it's important to note that this was done at the very beginning of the game. This is because GameSense can be done at any state of the game, whether it be beginning, middle, or very end. That's why it's important to plan accordingly to any scenario that might come up, and is what makes GameSense such an important tool to use in Man vs. Machine, and is what makes it such an important aspect to teamwork. Let's get into the meat of this video, and see how you as an engineer in gameplay can benefit your team. Overall, this is reliant on things such as your building placement, and because we already went over the teleporter, we only need to go over dispenser and sentry gun placement. If you place them efficiently, chances are you'll overhaul your team's effectiveness and effort being put in, thus allowing you to win waves with ease. Well, what are we waiting for then? Let's get into how to effectively place your buildings already. Let's start with the most team-dependent building, the dispenser. Classes such as the soldier and heavy depend on the dispenser for ammo and health, so making sure that this is up and running is extremely important, no matter what. This also means that it's your job to move this building around to make sure that these classes are being supplied with fresh ammo from it. After all, a dispenser that's not, well, dispensing anything isn't a very useful one, so just make sure that that dispenser is up and running always, otherwise you'll have your teammates begging and pleading for a dispenser nearby, because realize that they need ammo from dispensers to shoot at things, and when you don't have any ammo, it's kinda hard to shoot things. Let's not leave out the engineer's only way of damaging robots, the Sentry Gun. The Sentry Gun's position is rather important as a damage dealer in Man vs. Machine, particularly for taking out smaller enemies or getting the attention of bigger robots such as soldiers or demo men. The most common way it's placed is just to watch the bomb and make sure smaller enemies don't snatch it up. Another way to place it is using it as a specialist role, such as blocking scouts or taking out engineers that typically teleport in. So make sure that you place it accordingly once those announcements come over the speaker, as the announcer loves to do so often. Also, one last thing. When a sentry buster's in the area, don't bait your team with it. Just detonate it somewhere far away, so that way the heavy isn't going flying across the map, wondering what the hell happened just to realize that the engineer was a dick and didn't bother moving away. So just keep those sentry busters away from your teammates, and you'll probably be fine. Wow, okay, this video is going along a little bit faster than I initially expected. Well, let's just recap some of the things that we learned over this video. To improve your teamwork with your teammates, communicate, have a firm idea about game sense, be polite to your team, place buildings accordingly, and don't sentry bust your pals. With these ideals in place, your team will probably thank you. Obviously you can't just win with good teamwork, so try practicing these and see what can best be implemented. Also, please don't be a jerk to your teammates. There are too many times when I just see people be complete jerks to each other over a virtual game. I know there's the potential of rare loot included, but that's no reason to just be a general dick. So show people kindness. Be a good teammate. And if someone doesn't know how to do something, show them guidance. We all had to start from somewhere, so just show them kindness and be their guidance through this unusual world of man versus machine. With all that being said, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys learned a thing or two about being cooperative in man versus machine, and I hope you guys take some of this to the battlefield. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.